week, we're going to be talking about Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, the seemingly final entry in this long-running beloved action franchise, starring, of course, the incomparable Tom Cruise. What did we think of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning?
Yeah, I think with some of the pros with this movie is that the stunt work is very exceptional. The third act sings in a way that every other Mission Impossible has done. And, you know, if you nail that third act, you have a great Mission Impossible movie right there. So the cons for me is, I mean, so many weak connections and callbacks to the original feel so forced. And then the other thing, too, is the pacing is really all over the place with this film as it turns into a big exposition dump for it, at least the first half, which is at least an hour and a half. So that kind of really kind of bugged out the score a little bit. It's a good movie, but it's, in terms of it being a final movie, I will say it kind of leaves me with the franchise on a little bit of a downslope, if that makes sense. But no, it's still good.
I think this was a good ending to the franchise because the beginning for me was very clunky. And then once it got into the actual movie, it almost felt like sped up, like a lot of things were happening at once and like super fast. There's 2 sequences where I just felt like, holy crap, I was very entranced, like locked in. I think overall it was a good like ending to the franchise and a love letter to the franchise. But as a Mission Impossible movie, probably didn't hold up as much as the other movies.
I do think it's a very entertaining movie. I do think it has its problems. I think it is a little clunky. It is a little bit too kind of stop and go in terms of the pacing, where it kind of takes a little bit to find its footing and kind of hit the ground running. But I think really like once it kind of really gets to the meat of the story, that's when it really starts. But it doesn't forget to have fun. It doesn't forget to give you those action sequences that you love. I mean, the submarine sequence and the biplane sequence that you get a glimpse of in the trailer, they're just 2 of the best set pieces the franchise has ever done. But there's some great emotional character stuff in here too. There's some send-offs for certain characters, some reunions with other characters, and I think that's really well done, and it hits some good emotional notes. But in terms of, does this feel like the final entry in the series? No. It really doesn't, especially by the time it ended. It just kind of felt like another Mission Impossible movie. It just kind of felt like, oh, there'll probably be another one at some point. Maybe not in the near future, but there'll be some like, you know, Mission Impossible Reawakening or some shit like that. Like it'll happen.